Most on this list are going to be closer to gory anime, but there's still dark, good gothic stories and within the horror genre. So we're starting off the list with Another. It's really no surprise why this anime is so popular. First of all, its artwork is beautiful. I mean really, pure eye candy. Second, deaths in horror are and pretty much have always been the primary tool the genre has had for producing its namesake. The only thing Another effectively and comprehensively kills are the laws of physics. There is no scrimping on violence here, and the more unpleasant the better as far as this show was concerned, to the point of absurdity at more than one point. It became predictable towards the end, still it was very entertaining seeing how many different and creative ways people were killed off. Alright, so next up at number 9 is Tokyo Ghoul, and it is a fairly entertaining series revolving around a man, he's actually 18, called Kaneki-kun. He's originally human but turns ghoul after having a date with another ghoul. Of course, he didn't know she was ghoul at the time. The show deals with two societies, the human society and the ghoul society, whereas the human society in contrast to the ghouls are portrayed as more evil because they want the ghouls dead, even though the ghouls are the ones eating the humans. Now, I haven't read the manga, but I've heard some amazing things about it, and that the anime is a somewhat bad adaptation in contrast. Whether that's true or not I cannot say, but I do have a sense of agreement without having read anything. But the anime is still pretty good in my opinion. I was in awe of the opening song, but that's about the only thing about this series that really rocked my world. Tokyo Ghoul is good entertainment for most. It has some great potential, but you'll have to see that for yourself. Luckily, the second season is around the corner, coming out in January 2015, so hopefully it'll be even better then. While Gantz, directed by Ichiro Itano, whose other directional works include Violence Jack, can generally be looked at as a show about how society has had a progressive desensitization to violence and public responsibility, it can also be viewed as a somewhat exaggerated look at society's disdain for immediate action in circumstances that require it. I can imagine that a few eyebrows are being raised as I move towards the sentiment that Gantz is entertaining in an amusing sense. Well, it is. While one should tend to feel bad for laughing during several instances of the show, what happened to me was that I felt cheated into the logic of Itano's message of society's insensitivity. I thought that most parts of this series were purposely set up to be as funny as possible, even though the show seems to pass itself off as some series foray into compelling human drama most of the time. While most people in the end are likely to call this show crap, I'll take a different stance and be the person to call it intensively funny, sexual, yet sad crap. Gantz is easily one of my truly guilty pleasures. Shigurui Death Frenzy is a story about two rivals facing each other in a grand duel before the Emperor, and it turns out that they have a long history together. Shigurui and its manga counterpart are also both based on an expression from Hagakure, the Book of the Samurai, as helpfully explained by the accompanying box set booklet. The anime is more about this than anything else. It's a recollection of lessons, thoughts and ideas. The overarching story taking second place to a timeline that's all over the place. If you're planning on enjoying Shigurui Death Frenzy, you're going to have to deal with this, because beneath its brutal surface, this series is a piece of art. I did enjoy the brutal insensitivity of this anime to a certain extent. If violence is your concern, then Shigurui has a lot of that, and in great detail and verity. I don't think there's a single body part that isn't either slashed or cut or stabbed. To be completely honest, I don't regret watching this, but now that I have, I don't really want to watch it again. Yukiteru is a passive middle schooler who has very few friends and passes the time by keeping a diary of the events that happen around him on his cell phone. He does, however, have an imaginary friend, Deus Ex Machina, the god of time and space, who bestows upon him the ability to see into the future. Yukiteru writes off this gift as a product of his imagination, that is, until he realizes that all of his day's entries have already been written, and everything that is written does in fact happen. At first, he's ecstatic at his new power, which allows him to ace his tests and avoid bullies, until he gets a dead end. Whoa. Soon after, he's approached by the class genius and cutie Yuno, who for some reason is aware of the fact that he got a dead end and tries to get close to him. If I ever make a top 10 craziest anime characters, she would likely be on. I'd be dishonest to say that I wasn't overly impressed with the series and its ideas. At one point, in fact, I was pretty mesmerized by everything initially. I guess I should mention that this series does contain a lot of nudity aside from the abundance of violence. Given the nature of the show, this really shouldn't be a big problem. In either case, yes, there are nudity, and no, this really shouldn't concern you more than the violence and other unsavory events happening in this series. The show is well written and paced, no question about it. There will be some things that will surprise you and some that won't. Granted, this show will also take any remnants of innocence left in you and flay it to shreds, but there are some genuinely sweet moments to be had in between the extremes. Higurashi does not run a conventional chronological story arc, nor does it run episodically. Higurashi splits into what are essentially 6 linked stories that usually involve all the same characters. The first story arc runs for 4 episodes before coming to a definite resolution, and then the second story arc begins where the first one began, but follows a distinct run of events to a distinct conclusion. Higurashi is a strong classic series that I recommend if you're looking for solid entertainment from a show that isn't too complex but gives an opportunity for a little bit of brain work on your part. If sitting through the humor is unbearable, then fuck me for recommending it to you, and if you find violence inflicted by and upon cute girls equally unbearable, then you might consider giving up on the show. Hellsing Ultimate is the remastering of the Hellsing series with polished up action and graphics. They used most of the old voice actors from the previous installment of Hellsing. The original Hellsing had a lot of awkward pacing in moving from scene to scene. Compared to the OVA, Hellsing Ultimate is very fast-paced and goes through a lot of events from the manga. In many mainstream animes, there are a lot of failed attempts at creating a badass motherfucker character because they add too many corny morals that contradicts, or too much typical anime comedy. Finally, they have made the perfect badass character. They achieve this by taking out all the bullcrap such as talking between fights, and instead they have replaced it all with mindless and epic killing with very graphic and gory action. Alucard is one of the coolest anti-hero characters I have ever seen. Parasite the Maxim. This is a science fiction horror anime where worm-like alien parasites invade Earth, taking over the brains of humans by entering through their ears and noses. One parasite attempts to crawl into Shinji's ear while he sleeps, but fails since he is wearing headphones, and enters his body by burrowing into his arm instead, taking over his right hand. I'm not entirely sure what to think about this, as it has almost just started airing by the time I record this, but I have seen the first 3 episodes, and honestly, I like what I saw. Well, Mononoke is a collection of Japanese horror stories told through episodic tales, dealing with the exorcisms of different Mononoke that one very unique medicine seller encounters on his journeys. As such, some of the supporting characters may come across as being rather one-dimensional. Still, their emotions and desires, which are the root cause of the Mononoke's creation and continued existence anyway, are portrayed quite realistically and effectively. The medicine seller is both an observer of the human fallacy and is the one who never comments on them. He shows the results of what kind of atrocities humans can cause. His motivation is never to save the humans, never to judge them either. He simply destroys what should not be in the world as we see, meaning Ayakashi, and I think his neutrality in the subject helps the message come across better and more brutally. There is a lot of suspense and mystery in each tale, and the soundtrack does a great job of portraying it. This is less gory than the other animes I've shown you, but much more along the lines of actually being scary.
この笛の工事の東大寺で天下人になろうなどと推挙なこと考えてやしまへんやろな。溺れるネズミは何とやらどすな。けど東大寺はこっちのものととうに決まっとりますがな。あの大沢藩家ってこっちに組子で買ったこと一度もあらしまへん。アホらしこっちゃ。はあ、なんやこの部屋、ほこり臭いわ。こっちは隣の部屋で待ち申す。ほこり臭い東侍藩にお香なんぞ分かりゃしまへんわな。ああ、臭い臭い臭い臭い。あ？なんて死にざましやがる。
Not done yet. Have one more extra anime, if you will, that I want to show you. If you are looking for a romantic comedy or something to fulfill your masochist needs, then go and watch your drama love cliches. If you've got a set of balls, then you would have seen this already. All the episodes are episodic tales, they're about 3 to 5 minutes long, and their only intention is to scare. If you came for the kind of horror that's meant to scare the crap out of you, then this is probably one of your best bet. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful.
よいしょっと今日はこの辺にしとくか。はあ お札気持ち悪いな。こっちを見てるんじゃないよな。大丈夫かこの家。なあ、帰ったらまた荷物ばらさなきゃいけないんだよ。お前時間あるなら手伝ってくれよ。
悪い。俺これから彼女と約束あるから。
なあ頼むよ。近所に気味の悪い女が住んでてさ、ずっと俺のこと見てるんだ。
悪いな。じゃあ明日は遅刻すんなよ。
あれ、鍵閉め忘れたか。なんで。
部屋に上がりそうなんですって。怖いわね。
今何か。あの女人ん家に土足で上がって何やってたんだ。くそ。嘘だろ。俺に何の恨みがあってこんなことを。ごめん。見てない見てない。何も見てない。何も見てない。気のせいだ。何も見てない。何も見てない。見てない。おしまい。